I think when I first got interested in making a feature documentary, which then became One Day in September, I think that my belief was that in order for a documentary to work in the cinema, you needed to have an extraordinarily strong story, and the kinds of other forms of documentary that appeared on TV, documentaries which were perhaps more lyrical or more kind of journalistically driven. Lots of different forms of documentaries didn't really suit the cinema. Didn't really suit being blown up and seen in that kind of format. So yeah, I tried to make the documentaries so that they had a very, very linear story, and that you could get excited just by following that story, and the detail surrounding it and the thematics of the film would come out really through the narrative. It's quite hard to describe this, actually. I'm finding it a little tricky, but that led to sort of making two films which are really very, very story driven, and I think that I've begun to think that maybe that's a bit limiting, and that also the use of music and sound effects and kind of dramatic film techniques that were then sort of moved into documentary. I think the way we edited One Day in September and the use of music and the use of sound effects was very much like what one would do in a feature film. But that has now kind of infected so much of ordinary documentary, everyday documentaries, I guess, that are on television. And I find myself getting really annoyed watching a lot of documentaries on television because they're so overly dramatized in every sense. You know, they've got big music, sort of movie score music, and they've got big sound effects, and they've often got a lot of dramatic reconstruction. And I just think that movement has gone too far, and that it's you know, that there should maybe be a sort of a vow of chastity on the part of documentary filmmakers, a return to the sort of dogma, simplicity and purity of maybe some earlier documentary forms. I think that maybe something that I was partially responsible for starting, a sort of a movement, I guess, the dramatization. This is a bit of a mea culpa, isn't it? I think it's gone a little bit too far in documentaries, and certainly the documentary I'm trying to make at the moment is the kind of opposite of that. It's very, very simple, talking heads and archive, deliberately astylistic, or maybe that is its style, that it's stylist, lacking in obvious style. So yeah, I just think I would like to see, maybe in my growing old age, I'd like to see different forms of documentary, and I'd like to make a theatrical documentary which didn't rely so much on pure narrative for its drive and for its kind of cinematic potential.